And that, the clap good?
Clap.
And mine
good.
triggered.
Clap good.
Yeah.
Clap good.
Clap good.
Clap good. At least Andrew and I are running on like not much sleep today. How about you, Ben? Have you been sleeping all right?
I slept too much, and so today I was just kind of.
Oh.
Sucks.
I feel so bad for you.
That's why I didn't say anything earlier because I.
Well, yeah, I'm not. Well, I'm not gonna go this whole like ooh, woe is you sort of thing. Well, because I know what it's like when you oversleep. It sucks.
Yeah, so I've just been kind of like moseying around all day, and also I've just been bored because I've been like working nonstop on like this on this drum and bass track and trying to figure out what works, and so I've been kind of taking a step away from that because I've just had it running through my head on repeat, and it's like I need to step away from it so that I can come back with some fresh ideas. And then also we did a little video over the weekend, me, Eliza, and Andrew.
Yeah, we should talk about that. It was cool.
Yeah, and so I did like an edit of that last night, and I went around trying to color it, and then I realized I'm shit at coloring movies. That's why I always hired someone to do it back when I was doing movies more. And yeah, so I just really didn't do much today. I just kind of vegged out on the internet.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that, man. Nothing wrong with vegging out sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Andrew and I had a fun little discussion, basically talking about the new Suicide Squad movie. Watched that today.
Yeah.
But we're not here for movies, though. Movies, get that shit out of here. Who cares about the history of cinema, one of the most important art forms ever constructed, and one of the main cultural touchstones of basically our entire planet. We're here to talk about video games, am I right?
Although before we leave that subject, I will say I did see Green Knight in theaters recently, and that was really cool.
Oh, no, I totally missed out on that. I think
it's still in theaters. We had to go see it at Farmington's, or I guess we can bleep out this if we don't want to share location. But
bleep that location.
Oh no, they'll find where we are.
So
my address is blank. No.
But I saw it in that theater, and yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah,
really enjoyed it.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, man, I was looking forward to that before everything all shut down and shit.
I mean, it's still going around, so it's still showing.
That we are. Dear Lord. Anyway, who wants to go out to the theater and get sick when you can stay home and play sick games instead?
Sick.
Yeah, man, I played some video games this past week. Judging by my earlier polling of everybody, I played the most this past couple of weeks. 4, I guess 5, if we want to get a little technical. One of those I'll just list out right now, my 5. Team Fortress 2. In my boycott of Activision Blizzard materials until Bobby Kotick is jettisoned from the company. As long as there are sexual abusers in that company, I'm not giving them any of my time or money, personally. But in the meantime, I've been playing Team Fortress 2, which is a bot hellhole right now, but oh my lord, is that fun to play. Man, I finally got into TF2, and I hate it. I hate that I got into it, but I'm having fun. It's a good game. It's a real good game.
Hey, that's all that matters, right?
That's all that matters. It's a good game, man.
What's funny about TF2 is my exposure to it. I've played it a bit. Like back when I first got Steam. Like way back in like junior high and stuff like that. I played it a little bit, heard about all the hat memes and stuff, but my biggest exposure about it, like in regards to it, was the SFMs and how you can like just use models from the game to make these like just stupid like shitpost animations. And yeah, so a lot of my TF2 character exposure comes from like just very surreal, strange shitposts.
The memes are almost more popular than the game itself, which is really unique. in a lot of
ways. They've got some great characters for it.
but yeah, that's the thing. Excellent characters, and they lean in on the meme.
Yeah.
Especially with, like, community assets and like cosmetics. The game is just a shitpost, and
love it.
And I love it for that. It's a shitpost. It's a shitpost with objectives, and I'm like, all right, I'm cool with that. So I'll be, like, hanging around, like, dancing with people and playing instruments in the back room, and then as soon as the doors open, it becomes a bloodbath. And, like, body parts flying all over the place. And then people are conga line dancing with the payload until it gets sniped in the head by some dude named Big Chungus on the enemy team. And then, some guy will come in, like, blaring, like, rave music. It's a bot, and and then it'll be in the chat, like, don't kick me! It's a shit show, but man, it's my shit show.
TF2.
That's the kind of stuff that really appeals to me, is just complete disasters. And TF2 is kind of in that state, but man, it's still a fun game.
Yeah, it kind of did the like the character based, like I don't know what you specifically call them, but like the
hero shooter.
Oh yeah, hero shooter, like before Overwatch and all that became like mainstream.
It was the OG hero shooter.
Yeah, boy.
except all the heroes in Team Fortress 2 are bums. And
yeah.
that's the appeal of it. It's bums from around the world. and that's what I love about it. That's what everybody loves about it.
Yeah, is that a game where you have like a main, or do you just kind of do everyone?
Oh yeah, no, you definitely can. But there's quite a few oh my gosh. There's quite a few characters I enjoy playing. Primarily soldiers, probably the one I have the most fun with. But I also really like playing Pyro to help my team suss out spies.
Oh, okay.
Pyros are great anti-spy measures, and that's what I play Pyro for. And then I've actually been growing on the sniper a little bit. I especially love his piss jar weapon, which is super cool. If you soak an enemy in piss, you can do extra crit damage, and if you throw piss on yourself or a teammate, although you'll get crits on yourself potentially if you're attacked, but it will put out fires. So if you're on fire, you can actually throw a piss jar at the wall right next to you, put out the fire, so you can make it out alive.
Nice.
This is a great game. This game's great. I'd highly recommend it. It's free to play. Come on, man. It's great. TF2 is great. It's like one of the most popular multiplayer games out there. There's still thousands upon thousands of concurrent players at any given time. And for good reason. Again, it's a great game, and it's free. Like, okay. But, the problem is that it is an extraordinarily not beginner-friendly game.
Oh yeah,
it is. Yeah, it is.
I can vouch for that personally.
On beginners. Yeah, no, same here. Because I ended up loving TF2, but it took me 30 hours across like 4 years until I finally was like, oh yeah, no, I like this.
Yeah.
And that's one of the perks of it being free to play. But also, that huge hurdle that I had to get over is a problem. It is. It definitely is. I can't deny that. But now that I've made it over that hurdle, I'm having a blast. So take for what you will, I guess.
On the subject of the characters of TF2, I listen to a lot of dubstep, for those who don't know. And one of my favorite artists is, I guess nowadays it's kind of like the normie answer, but Virtual Riot. I love Virtual Riot. And he actually had an album where he used actually there's been a few songs over his discography, but he uses a lot of voice lines from TF2. And so, like, you'll just be listening to like some dubstep song, and then you'll just hear the sniper go, "This is getting embarrassing," and that's where I know a lot of the voice lines from as well. Or no, I don't know a lot of the voice lines from that specifically, but it's like hearing them come back like in these modern dubstep songs after hearing them like throughout the course of TF2's existence. It's just kind of like a fun little nod. I'm assuming he plays the game quite a bit as well.
See, once again, as was kind of reiterated before, the cultural significance and landmarks of Team Fortress 2 are bigger than Team Fortress 2 itself.
Yeah.
Which, makes it a very interesting piece of gaming history. Honestly.
Doesn't Scout's voice actor stream?
I think he does.
Yeah, I think he's the only one that like keeps an active like internet career going.
Well, yeah, I mean the rest of the guys are actually kind of old now from what I've seen.
Yeah, and I think Soldier, didn't he pass away recently?
I don't know. Maybe he did. I don't remember.
I think he did. I remember seeing a lot of a lot of posts about it.
Man.
Something May. I think his last name was May.
Oh, man, may he rest in peace.
Yeah. He has some of the best voice lines, honestly, too.
I guess from one very bleak note to another, I guess it's time that we address the elephant in the room. And for me, I've finished Silent Hill 2.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
Definition of bleak.
Yes, very. But may I say, this is damn well one of the best pieces of art that I have experienced in a very long time. This is brilliant. It is so... It leaves me speechless in a lot of ways. Scared the shit out of me, made me cry. I was very emotionally invested in a lot of the characters and what was going to happen throughout the story. I was disturbed very often with the game, and these are all positives towards it. But one thing I will definitely say is that for as bleak, and I do not get me wrong, the subject matter of this game is very bleak, they pull it off with such nuance and attention to detail and care and consideration for its characters and the world that it is established, that it creates this super highly respectable piece of art out the other side. It is a game that is very much made from, and I guess to shed light on broken minds, and while I can't say I personally relate to the main character of the game, I certainly have my struggles and issues with mental health, and a lot of those themes within the story and some of that imagery throughout it, kind of makes a way for me to kind of combat my stuff as well. In a lot of ways, it speaks to me on a very emotional level, which, of course, is extraordinarily subjective. Yet, still, at the very end of the day, this game is universally acclaimed, and for good reason, of course, for very good reason.
While people like their mental states vary between person to person, I think Silent Hill 2, as far as I'm aware, tackles that in such an interpretable way, right? That pretty much anyone can relate to it, like even if they aren't like literally. You don't
I suppose, but there is kind of a noted and respected and rather set in stone canon for what the monsters and a lot of the imagery of this game is technically supposed to mean. There's quite a few times where they even flat out say it in the game as well. No spoilers, of course. Like, no, definitely. If this seems at all interesting to you, please, at the very least, watch a playthrough. At the very least. Like, and if you have a way of playing it, even if that means getting your hands on a totally legitimate and 100% legal-free emulated copy of the game, do it. Seriously, it is worth experiencing. I finished it in less than 8 hours on my first run, and I've started a second playthrough, and I've already cut that time down considerably from where I'm at in the story. So
I do have a totally legal copy of it. So
totally legit.
Yeah, totally
legit copy. You really jump on it when you can. I would definitely say it's not necessary to play Silent Hill 1 before 2. I think it helps in certain ways, but it is nowhere near necessary. Though I hear as soon as you hit Silent Hill 3 is a direct sequel to the first one, and a lot of other games kind of go back and reference Silent Hill 1 later on in the series if you decide to jump past the first 4, which I might. I'm still thinking on it. I'm running again. I'm in the middle of a second run of Silent Hill 2.
Would you say
I'm definitely
that?
Gonna be...
Would you say that Silent Hill 2 has like a similar like jump-in point like factor in it that like 2049 has with the original Blade Runner, where it's like you don't need to watch the first one, but it does help?
No, I think if we're gonna make a direct comparison, I would say it's a little less necessary, I guess, between the Blade Runners. I would definitely say, like, I would more recommend people watch the first Blade Runner before the second one, before I would tell somebody to play Silent Hill 1 before 2. That doesn't mean, you know, I'm saying, hey, don't play the first one. I still think you should. It's still pretty short. They're survival horror games. They're not very long.
True, yeah.
Definitely, yeah. They're short, and you know, again, totally legitimate, emulated, free copies available out there, 100% legal, copyright Konami. But additionally, you can even like purchase it on the PlayStation Store on the PS3, and play like a digital copy there too. So, you know, there you got options to try and get into the series. Just of course, I haven't played them yet, but I'm totally going to at some point. Try out the HD collection, which is notoriously terrible and very critically panned and commercially failed for very many legitimate reasons. Yet I will definitely give it a try at some point. But I would, I'd say, I played it on the original Xbox. I'm holding my physical copy in my hands right now. I can confirm I do have a legit copy of this game, played on original hardware on a CRT TV, and
nice.
Oh my lord, was that the experience to go for, cause holy shit, man, it was great, doing that, man, again, so good, and I would love to just splurge spoilers all over the place and go, but, you know, I would not want to, especially if any of you are interested in giving it a try.
I will say that I'm very interested.
I do know the main spoiler, unfortunately, but I imagine I would still find it very effective. I'm not the kind of person to put so much
There's a lot of
stake
other
on that.
reveals. Yeah, there's a lot of other reveals that they kind of go through the story as well. So even if you kind of know, you know, the super big thing at the very end, there's still other things that you can experience, and there's multiple endings for the game as well. You don't have a guaranteed ending your first way through. You essentially have 3 different paths that you can take throughout the main story, and have 3 different main ways of ending it. So I'm trying to get the second one on here, but I'm going to create a save file because I'm going to get the secret UFO ending. I think all of the Silent Hill games, at least the first... I know the first 3 for sure. I don't know about 4, but I know the first 3 at least have UFO endings where it's like aliens were behind it, or aliens are involved in some goofy way.
It's like a joke ending.
Yeah. They also have the dog ending for Silent Hill 2. That's the really famous one. And you know that one like dog barky kind of song, not the Undertale one, but the other one that's like really famous out there.
I think so.
If you heard it, you'd know. Yeah, it comes from Silent Hill 2. So.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, hydrate, gang. I'm thirsty.
Hydration.
Hydration. Yeah, no, definitely recommend it, man. God, it's good. It's so good. Man, it is. Yeah. It's rough though. It's very, very rough.
We should make it a recommendation sometime.
I would love to, but I know Elias has issues with scary media, so I don't know.
I will 100% say he will not play Silent Hill 2.
No, yeah, he definitely
it's fairly regular for him not to be a part of the episode, so not that big of a deal, I don't think.
Yeah, definitely. But I have another one in mind that we're gonna get to eventually.
I think I know what it is, but I don't want to say.
I think I do too.
We're getting there. We all know now. But speaking of which, Andrew drew attention to. We do not have Elias on this episode. I know it took us nearly half an hour, or I guess,
to acknowledge the elephant.
Well, that's as long as my audio track's been going. It's probably not that long in the actual episode, but yeah, Elias is not joining us this episode. He did not get super far in either of the recommended titles. He has a couple things that he wrote to me that I'll read aloud when we start talking about the recommendations, but we'll get there eventually. I guess, let me think, what else? I'm gonna rattle this off as quick as I can. I finished my co-op run of Left 4 Dead 2 with my friend Cody. We modded the shit out of it and played through all the campaigns, including the DLC content, and Left 4 Dead 2 continues to be, possibly the greatest co-op game to ever exist. Extraordinarily fun, endlessly replayable, and extraordinarily cheap and easy to run on most hardware. Just a total blast, worth playing, love it to death. Left 4 Dead 2, the GOAT. God bless. Let me take a look. Oh, I've also...
It's another Valve one.
Yeah, that is 2 Valve ones. But I have also been playing, Andrew, I guess you'll find this interesting. I've been playing, got some significant progress through Pokemon Soul Silver.
Nice.
Recently.
Where you at?
I have finished the Ghost Gym, and I'm just kind of running around figuring where the hell I'm going after that. It's been a long time since I've experienced Gym 2. Gen 2.
Oh, you're on the second gym.
No, I finished 4. I finished half of the gyms for Johto. So, I'm just trying to figure out what the hell I'm doing from there, but I found out that I can trade my Pokemon from Diamond over to Soul Silver, so I'm bringing a lot of my shinies and National Dex Pokemon over through trading right now, while additionally building up my general team. I'll let you know what my team is right now, though. Off the top of my head, I'm using a Steelix, I've got Quilava, Victory Bell.
Victory Bell.
I brought in my shiny Regigigas, though I don't know if I'll keep him in the party for very long.
Yeah, it's a little out of left field.
It's a little out of left field. He's only like level 30 right now, so he's like slightly higher level than some of my other guys, but yeah, I don't know if I'm going to keep the Regigigas. I might switch him out, but I'm also holding in a Nidorino. I haven't really kept a Nidoking as a dedicated party member since like Gen 1, so I'm kind of curious to see how I can pull a Nidoking in my team, work it well. I'm probably going to replace that Regigigas with a dedicated water type soon for other features. Oh wait, I think I also for like surf and so forth. I also forgot I do have a Pidgeotto that I've been using as well. Started from a Pidgey. Yeah. So yeah, got my sick team.
What do you nickname them?
Oh, I don't nickname most of my Pokemon. I don't do that. I only do it on Nuzlocke, because then it hurts when they die and you can't use them anymore. That's the only time I name them.
My tradition was always to name them after anime characters that I like. It's
there you go.
Like the most 12-year-old thing.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I could do, the 12-year-old thing and name them after video game characters.
Yeah.
Nice.
My other tradition is whenever I capture a Snorlax, which is my favorite, I name it Andrew Jr.
Nice. Yeah. Snorlax is a king.
Yes.
We love Snorlax in this house. In this house, we stand Snorlax.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I recently was doing some research into like the worth of my Pokemon cards, and in like looking up just like values of different cards, Snorlax is pretty consistently like a pretty high worth card. It's I didn't expect
there,
that.
Like
but
most popular Pokemon, like probably like top 30 at least.
But like he's always a rare for the most part, from what I've seen. And I mean a lot. And his holographic versions can be very expensive, like upwards of like $20 sometimes.
It's great. It's such a great character design.
Agreed.
Yeah, there's always like the whole Snorlax is sleeping somewhere that's inconvenient to you, and you have to fight it to get it out of the way. That's such a fun tradition.
Just leave him be.
Yeah.
Leave him be.
Oh no! You have to capture him and get him on the
no.
team.
Yeah, I know.
I must have the Snorlax of every game. Very important.
Oh yeah.
Except
Definitely.
for Gen 4. Do you know how to get a Snorlax in Gen 4? It's been
so long.
It's practically impossible. Okay, so there's the Munchlax. You guys know that Pokemon?
Oh, my lord.
That's the baby evolution.
Yes, I remember this.
That's the baby evolution for Snorlax.
Yes.
That was introduced in Gen 4. And how you get a Munchlax in that game is that, okay, there's like 36 different like things called honey trees. You put some honey on a honey tree, and like 24 in-game hours later or something, a Pokemon appears. Okay, there is a 1% chance that it's a Munchlax, okay? And it only appears on 4 randomly determined trees of those like 36. So you have to, first of all, find one of those unique trees. The game does not give any indication as to which one it might be. And if you so happen to find the right tree, there's a 1% chance of it actually appearing, and you actually have to capture it with a Pokeball. And that's the only way you'll find a Snorlax in that game.
Wow.
Shout out to Gen 4.
That is insane.
That's why I hate Gen 4 now. I like Gen 4.
Man.
It has Garchomp, which is my favorite.
Yes, Garchomp.
Like
Garchomp
dragon,
is king.
Pseudo legendary. Yeah, I love Garchomp.
Garchomp is base.
It also has Cynthia, which is my favorite champion.
Cynthia is pretty sick. She's pretty awesome. I caught a shiny Spirit Tomb that I moved over to Gen 2. Speaking of Cynthia, because I know she uses a Spirit Tomb. I've totally forgot going back into my copy of Diamond what shinies I had. And I was like, wow, man, I had quite a few of these, and quite a few from back in my trading days, and I had some, like, neighborhood kids, and they got shinies, and I'd trade them with them, and it's so freaking weird to go back and look at this, like, roster, like, whoa, this was kid, I saw this save file. It's pretty cool, but yeah, I'm moving my Pokemon up, and I'm gonna keep moving them up as long as I can, which technically I can basically move them all the way up through, get them to Pokemon Home at the very least now, so yeah, I'm gonna keep moving as far as I am enjoying the Pokemon games at the very least. I'd like to at least get to the 3DS, because at that point I can take the stuff from the DS games and bring them to the 3DS, and then I can take them from the 3DS and move them to Home, so then they can just sit there for the meantime in case I ever want to use them again. Dude, I have 3 shiny Rayquazas. I'm not gonna do nothing with those.
Yeah, I've never really gotten into trading and stuff with Pokemon, so I've never had like a really cool Pokemon that I use. Like, I keep trading over and using in different games.
Yeah, but I mean that's my Pokemon experience. But the very last game that I'd like to bring up is one that I guess you guys might find interesting. I have played and completed the original 2006 Prey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of this. So the one that you recommended was a remake?
Yes, okay. So it was technically a remake. Right? Yes, very, very loose. It's a complete series reboot, not necessarily remakes. A remake, I guess, would mean that it's pulling something from the original. Yeah, it's a total series reboot. Completely different. This one is more of a boomer shooter, a la like Quake 4 and Doom 3. It's literally made in the id Tech 4 engine, and with that, it's still, the environments of this game still look fantastic. The gameplay is still really good. It's a really cool feeling shooter. It's one of the very few games out there where you actually play as a Native American character, and all the main cast is voiced by indigenous actors, which is super cool. So it gets some cool points on the diversity scale there, especially from like 2006 in a video game. Whoa.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. And the game is actually pretty freaking great as well. It is a technical powerhouse of the id Tech 4 engine, because that's just what the id Tech 4 graphics engine was. That thing was so ahead of its time. Nobody was ready for the insanity John Carmack was going to drop on people with that game engine. That engine is still insane. But yeah. Anyway, enough gushing about that nerd shit. Pray good shooty game. Kill alien happy face. It is also very dark as well. It's not Silent Hill 2 levels of like, emotional distress, processing, grief and abuse. No, Prey is just, aliens harvesting humans for like proteins for this like living spaceship thing that you're running around in. It all takes place within this spaceship, and you're doing all sorts of cool shit like manipulating gravity, and you have air vehicles that you like fly around in, and so many interesting weapons. The weapons are like alive and stuff. There's like freaky, like grotesque monster experiments, like alien human hybrid beasts, and man, there's a lot of body horror, and it's so cool. Like, this game is so freaking cool. But like, no one talks about it.
Yeah, I'm looking up some images right now, and it looks pretty interesting.
Yeah. It's cool. It's really cool. It's so cool. It's delisted off of Steam, unfortunately. Bethesda stuff, blah 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 blah. But I think you can still buy like digital keys online for pretty cheap. You can also probably, again, find like totally legitimate free online copies out there as well. Copyright Bethesda, I think, or 2K. I don't even know who owns the rights to this original Prey. I think Bethesda technically does. 2K originally published it. Yeah, big old mess. I'll say this much: this game originally was being helmed by the Duke Nukem people, and yes, it did have a Duke Nukem Forever situation where another developer had to come in and basically scrap the project and make a whole new game. Shout out to Human Head Studios before Bethesda killed them and absorbed them EA style, but man, those guys were super talented. Good job, Human Head. You made a damn good shooter with id's amazing engine. Yeah, cool game. It's also on the Xbox 360. That's where I played it initially. I do have a Steam digital copy as well that I can play definitely at a better resolution and frame rate than the 360 one, but I like my jank. And yes, the 360 port is pretty jank. It's a console port of an id Tech 4 game, so yes, there's some long loading screens and some chugging in the frame rate in some certain spots, but nothing that made it unplayable. Of course, I finished it and had a really fun time. Very good game. Anyway, Andrew, you said you had a game that you wanted to talk about, but it had something to kind of do with this week's recommendations, so I'm gonna hand the mic off over to you, essentially.
Well, I guess we should bring up the recommendation then, right?
Yeah, it was yours.
The one that, so, kind of a weird scenario, this past few weeks. So I recommended 2 games, sort of. One game, I wasn't sure if we would actually be able to complete for 2 reasons. One, it had to be totally legitimately copied, and that might not have worked. It did end up working for everyone. But the other side is that it's really long, and it's an RPG that has turn-based combat, and that's Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. We'll probably say that's for second. Ben and I played that game pretty extensively, so we'll probably have like a little chat about that later.
Yeah, if you guys want to now, go ahead.
Yeah. Do you want to now? Or should we do that second?
Whenever you want.
I guess we already brought it up, so might as well.
Yeah, you're in charge, man.
Okay. Yeah, so we played I personally got to Chapter 4 in Thousand Year Door. I did play the game when I was quite young. I think I was like 12, so it's been about a decade. And so revisiting it was a lot of fun, and it was a super big nostalgia trip for me. The game just puts a big shit-eating grin on my face for the most part. Although there's a lot of stuff I forgot about that I'm not necessarily thrilled about, so it's like so maybe it did go down a little bit from my memory, but I still overall really enjoyed it. I guess I haven't finished it, but I remember it. That's the thing that's cool about it, is that even though it's been so long since I played it, I still like could tell you like the general plot of like every chapter in the game. Like it's a game that really sticks in your memory. and it seems it's a little disappointing, not gonna lie. It seems like you guys just had some trouble at least getting into it initially. Ben played it further, and it seems like he's getting into it more now. Although I don't want to speak for him, so I'll pass the mic to you guys. At least give me like your general thoughts on it.
Yeah, so initially I wasn't quite sure if I was going to enjoy it because I normally don't enjoy turn-based combat. I've just never, I wasn't introduced to it as a kid, so I never really had the nostalgia factor behind it. And then just these days I'm more, I guess, drawn to action-based games, whether they be platformers, shooters, action adventure stuff. So the idea of turn-based combat never really appealed to me. Also, I didn't grow up playing Mario games, and so I'm just now kind of introducing myself to them, steeping myself into them. And I will say that as the first real experience playing through a Mario game, I am having quite a lot of fun because Thousand Year Door, at first, I will say it starts off a little bit slow because it's you get the gimmick that's it's Mario, but everyone's 2.5 dimensional, I guess, because it's a 3D world, but everything's made out of paper or whatever. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of an interesting little gimmick. And then of course it's an RPG, so obviously it's going to be a really long game. It's not a 3D platformer collectathon as the other rest of the games are. It's turn-based combat, but it's got a really involved story that it's telling, and it has really focused dialogue for the characters. And so after spending some time warming myself up to it, I think by the time I got to the middle of the second chapter, I found myself just coasting along and just enjoying what I was experiencing. It's not particularly difficult either. Obviously, if you don't prepare and don't have a strategy going into the battles, you are going to die, obviously, because that's just the way turn-based battles work. But for the most part, it's a decently easy game for the most part. Yeah. And the puzzles are fun, they're clever, and so, and then I got to the third chapter, and I was really enjoying the third chapter because it's I had a little I enjoyed 80% of the third chapter because of the storytelling, but the other 20% I was because it was a little grindy. So yeah, because I think you can speak for that a little bit, Andrew.
Totally. That's the thing about this. That's the thing about this game is that you're enjoying just the coasting along of it, just the general tone, atmosphere, the dialogue, the wit, the art 100%. Style. All of it is just so charming. This is definitely one of the highest bars set for the Mario franchise, and just how charming the Mario universe can be when it really puts in the effort. Mario can some of the Mario games can kind of come across as a bit more just kind of, I don't know if cold is the right word, but it just doesn't feel like it embraces the personality of the characters or the settings as much as it could. Probably because the games have been going on for so long. So they started off as NES games, which are just all about gameplay. Didn't really have anything at all to do with atmosphere. So maybe the Mario games have kind of been kind of kicking and screaming a little bit as the video games just the way that video games tackle stories and atmosphere and stuff. Mario's kind of set kind of dead set in its old ways a little bit too much, and it's taken a really long time for the developers to kind of come around on that. And the Paper Mario games were some of the first examples of Mario actually starting to develop in the story and atmosphere ways. And this game is for a lot of people kind of the shining bastion of just how creative and cute the Mario universe can be. And that's probably why so many people hold it at such a high level. Look on any video about this game or about the Paper Mario series on YouTube, and you'll just find like it's not hard to find people like, this is like my favorite game ever. Like, this is like my favorite Mario game. I think that's a little hyperbolic. It kind of puts in kind of false expectations in people's heads sometimes, because like you mentioned earlier, this game does not start very quick at all. And Ethan can attest to this as well. The prologue is very tutorial heavy. This game this game does skew towards kids to a point where it can be boring at times, and so for the vast majority of the game, you're just coasting along, you're having a blast, but then there's these little speed bumps that just kind of pop up here and there, and that kind of takes you out of the game for a little bit, and I think for some people that's enough to like make them stop playing, and that's kind of unfortunate, which I imagine is kind of what happened with you, Ethan.
It takes a lot for a turn-based RPG to really grab me. It either needs to be Goo Goo Baby Stupid as Pokemon, or it needs to be framed in a way, I guess, that makes me want to, I guess, play. I don't know, I'm very weird with that. Like, I played and I finished Darkest Dungeon, a turn-based RPG, but I think the appeal of that was that it was very front-facing on how much it hates you, and I was a glutton for punishment, and even though that's not a gameplay style I necessarily enjoy, I jumped into it. But that's the thing, is I guess turn-based RPGs need to be, I guess, framed in a certain way to really grab my attention. And while I will definitely sing the song and dance for the overall presentation of this game, and in terms of, again, its visuals and its music and what little story I experienced, you know, it was very entertaining, and I'd like to see more of it. But gameplay-wise, I was just like,
was it bored?
No, I was so bored. I was so bored.
Yeah, I can't.
It's just,
it's just
not for me.
Yeah. Although I don't know if you agree with me, Ben. You have more party members now. There's more abilities, and there's more variety in the enemies. Would you say that the gameplay has picked up for you, at least in terms of combat, that you're not as bored as you were initially?
Oh yeah, because the ability to switch between party members and the fact that they have, kind of different play styles. I mean, like, most of them have like a jump, and then towards the more difficult levels, parts of the game, like, you get enemies that are resistant to jumps, and so the only person you can really use up until you unlock the Yoshi character is the Koopa character, Koops. Because, you know, he can do his shell attack, and that obviously doesn't interact with the spikes. But yeah, up until that point, yeah, it's kind of you're either using Koops for the shell attack or Mario's hammer attack, and everyone else is essentially useless. But I will say that, like, with the addition of the Yoshi character, and then also just like leveling up and getting more badges and stuff like that, it does speed the gameplay along quite a bit. So, not necessarily speed it up, but it gives it more involvement.
Yeah.
And the difference between a lot of turn-based RPGs and this one is that you're still, like, technically involved in the combat, because you don't just, like, select an action and then watch it happen and then, like, you know, choose the next action. It's similar to Undertale in a way where, like, you select your action and then you have to engage with that action. Whether it be, like, you know, pressing, like, timed buttons, or, like, holding back the analog stick, or, like, spinning in a certain way, or hitting something in a certain rhythm. There's still, like, you know, like an action-esque element to it, whereas, like, you know, Undertale has its bullet hell aspect to it. Whereas, like, most other turn-based RPGs that have been pitched to me, or stuff that's just like, yeah, you have party members, you have items, you have, you know, your list of actions and attacks and stuff. And you just select those things and you kind of watch them happen, and you're not really, like, that involved in the combat aside from choosing what happens. But that's one thing I did appreciate with Paper Mario, is that, like, it does involve you in the combat still to an extent. I mean,
yeah,
kind of, it's still surface level for the most part, but it does help to, you know, get attached to the turn-based. And the fact that it's an RPG, I wasn't really put off by that because I have played a few RPGs like growing up. One of them being Dark Cloud and Dark Cloud 2, and those ones today for a lot of people would be considered extremely tedious because they are randomly generated. Like when you get into the dungeons, it's a dungeon crawler, and even though it's got like action-based combat where you're actively like swinging a sword and blocking and dodging and stuff like that, the dungeons are randomly generated. Enemies are kind of randomly spaced throughout and stuff like that. And most of the combat is just diving through the floors of these dungeons and getting stuff. So, however, like the aspects of storytelling when it comes to RPGs that I enjoyed in those Dark Cloud games show up in Paper Mario as well. And that's why I was also starting to get really attached to the storytelling aspect of Paper Mario, because it reminded me of these older RPGs that I played in my childhood. And I was like, okay, I really like this storytelling style. And I like that I'm still, to an extent involved in the combat, even though it's not, action based. So, yeah.
That's my favorite part of the game, is that each chapter is like its own mini story, and they all feel very distinct and different from each other. And well, I'm not going to say like the storytelling is like mind bending or anything. It's very engaging. Like it's
engaging,
yeah. Yeah. There's like a new plot point like every 15 minutes, and while it's not like necessarily spellbinding you, it is like keeping you invested. And honestly, it's just funny. Yeah. There's a lot of great dialogue in this game. Have you, whenever you go back to a rogue port after you finish a chapter, have you noticed Luigi standing around?
Yeah, I've talked to him every single time I've noticed him.
Yeah, and it's awesome because he has his own separate adventure going on. He has his own partners like Mario that are standing next to him, and when you talk to him, he like kind of recounts like his tale or whatever. The most recent one I can give an example for is that he has to like seduce like a like a mayor of a town, like an evil mayor. So like they like have him like dress as a bride, and then like they and to like infiltrate this guy's manor. Like, and Luigi talks about this, and he's like, "Man, I was one sexy hostage," or stuff like that. And then when you talk to his ally who's standing next to him, he's like, "It's like, I feel bad for this guy. I saw him in a dress, and like it scarred me. Like, I feel like I need to stick with him, so like to protect him from doing that again." It's like, and each one of his allies kind of like it talks about like how he's basically lying, like how Luigi's basically lying to you about his exploits. He's making himself sound too like better than he is. Like another one of his partners is that he has a blooper, which are the white squid enemies. And his blooper ally is like burnt to a crisp. And Luigi apparently like knocked him into a volcano by accident. And the reason why he's sticking with him is the blooper wants revenge for making him like burnt
golden
to
brown
a crisp.
Instead of white.
Yeah. And there's a new one every time you go back to Rogueport. And there's a ton of like little characters like that throughout the game. You got and some of it's like strangely dark. Like what'd you guys think of the noose that's in the middle of the town square? Like
weirdly enough, I didn't think much of it. I just assumed, it kind of belonged there because they said it was like a shady town. So yeah. I mean, it's obviously part of like the world building. But yeah, now that I think of it, it is a kid's game, so that is kind of dark for a kid's game, but
it's like the central visual of the game. It's the first big area you go into, and that's the first thing you see.
A noose, yeah. And I find it funny how like the entire like main like area, like hub world area, is like has a lot of parallels with like actual real world like elements of crime and stuff like that. Like you've got like the seedy underbelly, you've got the mafia.
You have dueling factions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a whole plot line of this game where basically like the Godfather or the Don of the
Don Pianta
of the town he's a Pianta from Super Mario Sunshine. His daughter ran off with one of his grunts, and he like tasks you with finding them and bringing them back, and they have like this big heartfelt thing. It's like, Father, you must let me go. Like I must spread my wings, and you can like sell them out to their father, and it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff like that. There's a family of toads, and if you go into their house, the son is like, I miss my mom. She's always like gambling. Like she's over.
Oh,
she's
yeah,
always,
that's right.
Yeah. There's a
And then you find her, and she's like, "Oh, I'm sure they don't mind."
Oh yeah, they're fine. Like, oh, well, it's kind of heavy.
Yeah, and then the father and the son are like, "I wish she'd just come home."
Yeah, they play that totally straight. It's crazy.
Yeah, like it just kind of it's like it happens casually, and then like I'm just thinking like that's pretty heavy for a kid's game.
In the third chapter, there's a pig that's selling hot dogs.
Oh, I didn't notice that. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, there's so much clever little humor touches.
He is selling hot dogs. Yeah, I just now realized that. Yeah.
Yeah. In chapter 4, how far have you gotten in chapter 4?
To the save box because I was playing for like the whole day.
The beginning.
And
okay.
I did the whole third chapter in that day. So when it was getting late and I stopped at the save box after talking to like the mayor and stuff and understanding the plight of Twilight Town.
Yeah, that's also dark. All the citizens are being turned into pigs.
At random too, so it's like they're all just like awaiting their demise.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite black comedy moments of the game. So you go into a family like house, just in this town where people are being turned into pigs, and it's just like a mom and her 3 kids, and the kids are like, "Oh, we're so hungry," and the mom is like, "Could you spare some food?" And if you give her food, she turns into a pig, like immediately, and her 3 kids are like, "Oh no, mommy." And then the 3rd kid is like, I wonder if pork tastes good. Like, There's so much of that in this game. It's
just like just like casual, just black comedy, and then you just don't really think about it probably until you're older.
Yeah. It makes sense for that level though, because it has like a bit more of a darker like atmosphere to it. So it doesn't feel
like a spooky area.
Yeah, it doesn't like feel like try hard edgy. It just comes across naturally. Like with each chapter has its own tone and theme, and like the humor in those chapters kind of reflect that. So in the darker level, it's like more like centered around like black comedy, for example, and like in the wrestling Fight Club one, it's more it's like a traditional like you're an underdog wrestler type story with like a bit of like a murder mystery going on behind the scenes at the same time, and like the humor is like derived from that. I need to ask you, did you eat the cake, Ben?
Did I eat the cake?
Yeah.
Or do you mean my partner?
Do you know what I mean? Well, okay, yeah. I didn't eat the cake, so your partner ate the cake is what happened. Yeah,
my partner ate the cake.
Did that make you lose, or were you able to pull through?
Oh, I was able to pull through. I had to fight the next enemy solo, but yeah.
Yeah, this game was the originator of The Cake is a Lie.
Ah, yeah. Wait, when did it come out?
Take that, Portal. 2004. So yeah, it predates Portal by a little bit.
Okay.
At least I think it does, right? When did the first Portal come out? 2006, right?
5 or 6, I think.
Yeah. Not by a lot, but yeah, a little bit.
Something was up with Cake around that time.
2007.
Speaking of like Portal and like GLaDOS and robots and stuff, there's a whole subplot of this game where Princess Peach is basically like being romanced by HAL 9000 from 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's this whole it's weird because like it's obviously a kid's game, but like Peach's sections when it gets there is this whole subplot about like a highly intelligent computer that's discovering the like feelings of love and stuff like that for the first time and trying to decide what they mean and stuff, and like Peach trying to like help it understand what it means.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
And
Yeah.
the computer keeps contriving ways for her to like take off her clothes. Like, I'm not even
boy.
joking. This is kind of a spoiler, but there's one where she has to dress up in a different uniform, and then in the next chapter she turns invisible, but her clothes aren't invisible. So he's like, "Oh, I guess you have to disrobe so you stay invisible."
Now that you bring that up, yeah, that does happen.
Yeah, it's subtle. Like, it's not like
It's very
trying
subtle.
to be overbearing. Yeah, I'm probably like painting this game as like edgy right now, but no, it's.
No, I didn't even catch on to that.
It keeps the tone where it should, and any sort of like adult humor is subtle as it should be. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's many different little plot lines like that.
I didn't catch on to that aspect, but I think it's because I was just like fascinated by the idea that it was taking like this, like AI, Blade Runner humanity type subplot, just in a Mario game, out of all places. I was like,
yeah,
that's interesting.
This is the potential of the Mario series. It can do any tone. It is like the chameleon of like video games. Seriously, it can do black comedy if it wants to. This game proves it, and it can do like. It can tackle darker themes, and it can also stay lighthearted, and it can be very sunshine and happy, and everybody has a happy ending, and it's very heartfelt. It's very schmaltzy.
So
it can do anything.
I'm gonna say this. For the pretentious music fans out there, I guess you could say the Thousand Year Door is the Ween of video games. The band Ween, who did Ocean Man.
Yeah,
they do everything from Ocean Man to like serious, like dramatic rock ballads and like heavy metal and blues. Like, again, it can be kind of whatever. So it's the Ween of video games.
Yeah, and that's probably why people are so disappointed with the newer Paper Mario games. I know you guys haven't played them, but I want to get into like the discourse. I know you guys probably won't have much to weigh in on here, but
nothing at all.
Let me explain this. So you guys aren't super thrilled with the turn-based combat in this game. That's probably the weakest element of it. And what's funny is that each subsequent Paper Mario game after this does away with the turn-based combat. Super Paper Mario, the one that's after this, is basically just a platformer. Like, you jump on enemies, just like a typical Mario game. And then the ones after that, the current trilogy, Sticker Star, Color Splash, Origami King, how those games work is you are given stickers. There's just sort of a collectible that you have in the overworld. And those stickers are your attacks in the game. Okay, so basically your attacks are finite, they're disposable. Hello? Like, you use a sticker and the attack's gone. That's the idea.
Ew, I hate games that do that.
Yeah, it decentralizes combat, because if you just don't go into combat, you just won't use stickers. So, and there's no experience point system in the game.
Hello?
So it's so there's no intrinsic reward or extrinsic reward for actually doing battles in the game, which is kind of ridiculous.
There's two Metal Gear spin-off games that do combat like that.
My internet is dying.
Dreading playing them inevitably.
Continue on until I come back.
Those games also just kind of do away with the whole thing I was talking about, where like each chapter tackles like an entirely different tone. It's basically just like a typical Mario game. You got your Grassland, your Sand Kingdom, your Bowser's Castle. So yeah, it just it kind of eschews like probably one of the greatest strengths of the Mario like franchise, and that and people are very rightfully annoyed by that. Like, look up the Paper Mario Color Splash trailer. I think it is Nintendo's most disliked video, alongside their Nintendo Online video. So, yeah. Although at the same time, I think people kind of forget that the whole like turn-based combat of these games do have downsides. Like, it's not always super engaging, so it's such like a perfect breeding ground for contention between people, because there's like legitimate criticisms you can level at both play styles, and yeah, it's Sad. Somebody disconnect?
Yeah, Ben just disconnected off of the call. Interesting.
I guess he was mad at me for saying those things about Color Splash. I'm sorry, Ben.
I'm sorry, Ben. Yeah,
What happened?
I've been hearing that there are some power outages in our area, at least around our area.
Yeah, we might need to cut this part out, but...
well,
yeah,
or, whatever.
So, Ben.
Hey, there he
Ben,
is.
you're back.
I am back. Here I am.
Are you
What
recording?
happened?
Yeah, I'm still recording. My internet just went out for a second.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Dang.
Power outage?
No, it just happens every once in a while. It goes out for like a minute or two.
Oh. Well, made an interesting audio drama out of that. So.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, I was pretty much done with my point just now. I just find the whole, like, discourse around the Paper Mario series funny because they should be, like, the most, like, what's the word? Inoffensive, I'm sorry. They should be, like, the most inoffensive games, like, game series ever, but...
Sanding the edges off, brah.
Yeah, but yeah, this is the Paper Mario series. I guess is kind of like the Ratchet and Clank. It's back to Ratchet and Clank. You got we can't let an episode go by without this being mentioned.
Well, I was gonna mention Ratchet and Clank anyway when we start talking about Sly. So
yeah, we're just getting a head start on that. Yeah, Paper Mario is the Ratchet and Clank of the Nintendo franchises.
It's their zombie series.
Yeah. So, have we sold you on replaying it, Ethan?
No.
Aw. Would you at least want to watch a Let's Play, like we said?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think you'll get a kick at least out of the writing. So.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely want to watch it. I'll definitely even watch like breakdown videos or like a lot of those videos of watching people gush about it even because I like hearing that stuff. I like hearing positivity about games. So yeah, and again, I know of its mainstream status. I don't even say if it's a cult hit. It's kind of a mainstream hit.
Yeah, no, that's very
definitely
successful.
Yeah, very, very well renowned and for what I hear, very, very good reasons as well. So yeah, no, I definitely don't want to discount its artistic achievements and merits because of that. So I definitely want to experience it whatever way I can. Good art's good art, and if I can find a way to enjoy it, I'd love to.
Yeah. Gives off like strong like Saturday morning cartoon vibes too. So it's like watch like a chapter of a day, like watching like an episode of a cartoon. Like that, it gives that feel. For sure. And yeah, it gives you a new experience each time. And yeah, it's sad that we probably won't be getting another one like it, but oh well.
Yeah. I'll quickly read off some thoughts that Elias had about the game. He had a sentence basically to say. He said, "I liked the game, but it didn't grab me or make me feel like I should finish it. If you want to give the podcast my overall rating, I'd probably give it a solid 6 out of 10. End quote.
That's very positive from Elias, considering that this is a Nintendo game.
Yes, he said this is the first Mario game he's liked.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, actually.
I'm gonna find a Nintendo game that we all play and we all enjoy. Okay, that is my goal.
Hey man, Super Metroid was pretty sick.
But
Elias didn't play it. It's gotta be all 4 of us.
It does have to be all 4 of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose.
Might try Luigi's Mansion.
It just looks like it just sounds like there's like just a Nintendo game that's like specific for I guess every one of us because I mean growing up I was like really into Zelda.
Yeah, so you like Zelda, Ethan likes Pokemon, I think Elias likes Pokemon too, at least the original.
He's played Pokemon.
I mean, to be honest, I played more Mario platformers than I really did Pokemon overall. Well, I guess, I played a lot of Diamond, and I don't know. Sure, I guess you could levy Pokemon against me, but don't take me as a Pokemon fan by any stretch of the word.
Hey, honestly, that's kind of funny. I actually find the turn-based combat in Paper Mario more engaging than Pokemon.
I can zone out super easy to Pokemon, though.
Yeah, but, like, that's the thing, like zoning out to this game, like Paper Mario, like, what's the difference? Like, it's just not as zone-outable.
Handheld status, I guess, is one thing. I
Yeah,
guess
I
I'm
guess.
also a bit of a collectible hound as well. So I like being able to just kind of do that and be like, ooh, look at the cool thing I have. Oh, so unique.
Yeah, like I would say that's the best part about Pokemon is just collecting Pokemon, right?
And it's just, again, it's extraordinarily pick up and play. I can't, because I can play games like Pokemon in a very zoned out sense because I can do it anywhere. And again, it requires extraordinarily minimal effort from me, so it is a great way for me to pass time. But I can't lug a GameCube around with me, and I sure can zone out to some games, but I prefer not to, especially if there's a story that I want to actually pay some attention to. So yeah, the thing is, I feel like if I made this, like, Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, if I made that what I call a podcast game, I feel like I'd be doing it a disservice. So
Yeah,
I'd like to more
I can see
actively experience it, even if I'm just watching it. That's still more active than if even I wanted to just slog through the gameplay. So.
Yeah, no, I totally get you, and I'm not like mad or anything. But like,
I didn't take it that way. No, not at all.
No, it's pretty regular that we don't finish games on this podcast. I was actually like going through in my memory, like which ones have we all finished?
Hey,
and I think
I'll say I finished. I finished another one. I finished the other one.
Yeah. We'll get into that. But I was just thinking, like, we all finished Grease. That was one. What Remains of Edith Finch.
Ooh, yeah.
Oxenfree.
Edith Finch. Oh, Edith Finch, man. I played that twice.
Man, that's probably still the best recommendation I've given you guys so far, probably, in terms of overall enjoyment.
I think so.
Yeah, my favorite one that I have not recommended.
Oh,
Super Metroid is my favorite one overall, but I'm biased.
That one was fun.
Yeah.
I did enjoy that one.
That one was good. It was very good. Oh, but Nier Automata, man.
Yeah.
It's interesting with
Yeah.
Nier because I did
my favorite
complete
recommendation.
it. I did complete it and I did enjoy it, but I don't know, like it definitely is not in like my top 10 favorite games, but it did like affect me. So like I find myself often thinking about it just like on like off moments of the day.
Guys, I just got a really cool idea. So I know when our anniversary is, right? And we're talking about older recommendations right now. We can totally leave this in for hype or whatever for like the one like dedicated fan we have. But
Hey,
I
if you're listening, you're awesome.
We could do. Thank you, Cody. Anyway, we would for that anniversary episode, we could reminisce on our older recommendations and see if our opinions have changed on them in any which way, like more time to simmer on them. Maybe we played a little more of them over time. We just kind of go back through some of the older recommendations and chat about them now. I think that would be really cool for our 1 year. That's just a thought. I think that would be really fun.
We
but
could
that's
rank them
just
all.
me. Sure, that sounds freaking cool. I've been actually thinking about doing that on my backlogged profile. Link in the description. Yeah, I was gonna probably do it there, so I'll be more than happy to chat about it on the show. That'd be pretty poggers.
So, I think we talked about Paper Mario. That's my thoughts about the game. I probably haven't finished it yet for my second playthrough here, but it probably end up being like an 8 out of 10 at the end. Like, it just makes me happy, like all Mario games, and it's the perfect example, I think, of the potential the Mario series has, and that is often goes unfulfilled. But there are other like Mario games that are in similar ballpark. I would say Bowser's Inside Story, Super Paper Mario, Mario and Luigi Dream Team, and Super Mario Odyssey are probably the closest games all come to that level of charm. Oh, and the original Paper Mario as well. Can't forget that one. There's a handful of ones that I think talk about, that feel the way that I've been describing. And yeah, I hope to see more. Odyssey was a good step in the right direction for the main Mario series, so hopefully we'll see more in the future.
I hope and pray for the fans as well, that they can get an experience that they want. I know I don't want to sit here and be like, ooh, I don't want to crush Nintendo's, artistic, individuality and merits, or the ability for them to do whatever they want. But also at the same time, it's like, there's a need. People are, again, they're like, oh, I want my fix. I want this again. Like, at the very least, they could re-release the first couple games, but this is just what Nintendo does. People have such nostalgia for a lot of these older titles, and Nintendo just drip feeds them to you in the most absurd, obnoxious, and pointless ways possible. So you have to get into a situation where you have to get 100% totally legitimate free online copies of GameCube games, because if you wanted to go freaking buy a physical copy, they're like $250. It's bullshit. The only reason why I'm freaking playing Soul Silver on original hardware is because I have a friend who is just extraordinarily generously gave me his cart along with his copy of Black. There's no way in hell I'd actually even give Soul Silver, I guess, a shot. 'Cause hell, if I would actually want to emulate it. It's just nuts. This is just a big Nintendo problem I have. It's an industry problem. It is an entire industry problem, but Nintendo is a very special in this situation.
Yeah, I was thinking about the reason for that, because going back to when this game first came out, the GameCube era, I think that's when Nintendo was at its strongest artistically. Because go through their catalog of their GameCube games, they are all the black sheeps of their respective series. You got Sunshine with Flood, which is a really weird change for Mario. You got Wind Waker, a completely different art style. The Thousand Year Door, this game with actually having putting a lot of stake into its writing and story. It introduced two different Nintendo franchises, Pikmin and Animal Crossing, which the latter of which is still getting regular installments.
Chibi Robo, dude.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm the best one. Super Smash Bros. Melee, which is still considered to be one of the most refined fighting games, which
okay,
I don't know about that, but yeah, there's and I could keep going. The Metroid Prime series. Metroid doesn't do that well commercially, but it's got 3 separate games on this console. And the thing about the GameCube is that it didn't do super hot commercially. It's one of the lowest. It's the second lowest selling Nintendo console, just above the Wii U. And Nintendo probably internalized that, to be honest. They probably saw the sales of the GameCube and the games that they were releasing at the time, and they were like, oh, we're doing creative things, and it's not paying off financially. And so they've kind of leaned more into going back into their old ways. And they honestly are doing a lot better now than they were back during the GameCube era. And so that's probably how they're going to stay, unfortunately, because money talks. That's how companies work. So yeah, we really gotta keep the GameCube era in the lexicon. We gotta we gotta remember them, because it's probably Nintendo at its most creatively fulfilling. Exactly. And it's sad that
one of the
cells didn't represent that.
Yeah, it's one of the big unfortunate things with I guess business as a whole. It's just the money talks. I agree with that. That sucks. And with that, you have that just, I guess, even though there's that insane outcry, there's just still that whole sitting on their thumbs and not doing anything with them, not even re-releasing or putting them on digital stores, or even just giving us official uploads of the soundtracks at the very least.
A collection of the first 3 Paper Mario games, and they released it on the Switch with HD Yeah, that would sell gangbusters probably.
Yeah, no, it would, and Nintendo knows this, and they don't do it. And I don't know.
Maybe because they don't want people to remind them, like their fans, like how they used to be.
So they might be, their fans might actually start asking more of them.
Yeah, quite sad. Yeah, so freaking play these games on Dolphin.
So I wanted to say this because the way you're talking about Paper Mario as a series, right, where it's, you know, very creative roots, and it gets really popular, like very like popular status, but then like because of sales and craziness, they play it safe, and it ends up kind of killing the franchise for the fans one way or another. You are literally describing Silent Hill right now. I'm not kidding, because Silent Hill like 1 through 3, people are like, yes, like excellent, top tier material.
Like 4
yeah, well, here's the thing, and then 4, and people are like, 4 is good, but you know, like, do we love it? And some people really do, but it is kind of contentious. But then after that, even though the series was successful, Konami's like, we're tired of being successful and, you know, allowing good artists to make good art. Let's kill the development studio that was working on these titles, and let's just shit out this IP over to the West and let a bunch of Western developers just make whatever without understanding what the series was standing for to begin with. And, you know, like, some people tried, and I'll get there, I've heard that some were successful and did pretty alright and like honored the series in really interesting ways. But then you also had Silent Hill Downpour, which had a Korn song as its opening sequence. Korn, the new metal band Korn, Jonathan Davis from Korn for a Silent Hill game. I like, really, like, that game killed the series, and then Konami kills it again after PT and all that nonsense. So, you know, like, horror game fans, we know your pain. Like, Paper Mario fans, we know your pain. We're here with you. And Konami, again, just won't re-release these games and whatever. So, again, you have to, like, you know, emulate them and whatever to get the easiest access to them. So, man, like, Konami fans, which is me, and Nintendo fans, like, we have more in common than what you think. Not so different, you and I. That's my villain speech to start blackpilling the Nintendo fans, so they start getting more angry online at Nintendo.
I kind of feel like we're gonna have a similar conversation regarding Konami here in the near future.
Probably. Anyway, you had another game that we wanted to maybe talk about.
That Ethan actually did play. Let's see. And that was Sly Cooper, the first one.
Yeah. Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which I played last year. Yeah, last year.
So you remember it pretty well, then.
Decently, yeah.
Okay. A big reason why I picked this game is because Ben has gone on record saying that he don't like it too much. And Ben hasn't really had a hot take yet on this podcast. So why don't you go ahead and rant a little bit, Ben? I want to hear.
Well, for the record, I don't absolutely hate this game, but it's definitely my least favorite of the Sly games, and probably my least favorite entry in the trifecta of PS2 mascot platformers. And it's just because, I mean, I have my review pulled up here. It's not very long, but what I said was it's definitely a product of its time. The first Sly uses the level design of area plus sub-areas, and given the fact that you're supposed to be a sneaky raccoon, the run-and-gun type of playstyle of those sub-areas takes away from the whole stealth factor. The writing is mediocre, plot's kind of boring, the boss fight with the crocodile lady is obnoxious, and if you're looking to play the Sly games, get this one out of the way as quick as you can, easily the weakest of the three. And to further expand on that, from what I remember of the plot, I mean, obviously it sets up the next two games. I don't know. I just thought it was overall pretty mediocre. Like in comparison, especially to Sly 2 and 3. And also, of these three games, I played Sly 2 as a kid, multiple times, and I love Sly 2. had the perfect approach to, I guess, the style they were going for. So it really lended itself to what they, to like the, you know, this whole we're thieves and we're sneaking around stealing stuff and pulling heists and stuff like that. Sly, I didn't play Sly 1 or 3 until last year. And so I have the same like level of like unfamiliarity with 1 and 3. And like and then I have both of them like to compare against Sly 2 as like with my nostalgia glasses as well. And I can say that of the three, Sly 3 is my absolute favorite because its storytelling is just so good. But Sly 1 was just pretty underwhelming compared to, I mean, based on what people were saying like about it, you know, with the nostalgia glasses and stuff as well. So I don't know. I personally think that it's meh. I don't see. I can understand why people like it, especially if they grew up with it, but I don't find the appreciation in it that a lot of people do for being the first of the trilogy. Because there's a lot of stuff it missed out on that the subsequent games just did tons better.
Yeah, going into that, I did also play Sly 2. That's a game I was kind of referencing earlier. I beat the first Sly 1. And honestly, kind of echoing a lot of your thoughts. I did enjoy it. It's a good game. But playing it felt very similar to like when I was playing like the first Spyro or the first Ratchet and Clank, where it's like clearly these this is a great idea.
Yep.
It's a 3D platform with like stealth as kind of its selling point. I think that's brilliant. And also the general aesthetic of the world and the characters.
Aesthetics are amazing. I love the aesthetics.
It still looks good.
Yeah.
It's kind of janky in the like when the characters are talking to each other specifically, but
the 3D aspect has always been a bit janky, but the art direction has always been incredible.
Yeah, it has what I like to call like an asymmetrical art style. It's not focused on being very what's the word, like mannered in its perspective. Things don't necessarily like line up towards the horizon or the vanishing point in a realistic way, but that adds to it. Like, it's harder to do that than you might think, to make a game that's very clear in where you're supposed to go and the direction like the game is trying to lead you, while not adhering to like normal artistic restraints. To break the conventions, to break the rules of like general art style, and still make it like form-fitting, and it still feels natural. Like that's very difficult to do, and I very much commend the art directors for this game for managing to pull that off. It's probably the best thing I can say about it.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a good intro into the series. And I think my comparison with it was like it wanted to be its own thing, but also tried to cater too much to what was already popular in the 3D platformer realm, which was kind of like that Crash style, like run and gun area plus sub areas type thing. So instead of like taking the capabilities that it had for being, a stealth centered 3D platformer like Sly 2 and 3 were, it just didn't stick the landing the first time around. It borrowed too heavily from its predecessors.
Yeah, because stealth honestly doesn't feel super necessary for a lot of parts of the game. Yeah, no. Honestly, just a lot of it's kind of just a 3D platformer.
Yeah,
really. Yeah.
Whereas like when you get into Sly 2 and Sly 3, there is a lot of like benefit for using stealth, and it's fun too. It's a lot of fun to use stealth. I don't know. And in terms of its storytelling as well, I feel like they got a lot better over time, because the first one was meh. I mean, it was a pretty simplistic story. The second one dug a little deeper, and it had a more involved story with more interesting characters and stuff. And they like really fleshed out the trio. And then the third one just like brought a whole like new just dimensionality to these characters, and just wrapped it up at the end with like a nice little bow. And so it's just like, yeah, I don't know. I was like really pleasantly surprised with how good 3 was. And even with my nostalgia glasses, I do like 3 more than 2.
Yeah,
which
I will
is
say with 2,
saying something.
Yeah, I will say with 2, I'm like, I'm not that far into it at all, but I'm very impressed. Like the presentation is even better. Like the obviously, but the animation and the art direction just like a whole new level with that. Like it really good. The talkie no longer looks janky. The stealth feels a lot more necessary. The overworld, I kind of feel like I'm like bouncing around like Delfino Plaza from Mario Sunshine. Like it's a ton of fun. I like how you switch between the characters now.
Yeah, and it's also like a little more, I guess, quote unquote, open world as well. So they just drop you into like an area instead of like having you go through like subsequent levels and stuff.
Yeah. Did you guys like try at all to 100% the game? Like to
yes,
get all
I did.
You did. You 100%ed it.
Yes.
I think I did too.
Oh, wait, not the time stuff, though. No, screw that. Everything but that.
Yeah,
So
that was the
you
weirdest.
You the bottles. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I went for all the bottles, I think, in my playthrough a year ago. But that was the weirdest thing about the level design in Sly 1 was the fact that like it had like a time thing. It felt like it was like trying to be like Crash and Sonic at the same time. I was like, what is this? Like coming from like Sly 2, you know, and like having this level design where you act as the different characters, pulling off different, you know, reconnaissance missions and like sabotage missions and stuff to prepare for the capstone heist of each level to pull it off and like fight the boss and whatever. And that felt like supernatural and it really like fit into the world. Whereas like Sly 1, it was just like, hey, yeah, you're in like a weird stormy area and there's some like guy who's controlling the weather. So here you go, do all these like levels and try to get the best rating you can on them, best time you can. Just go through, you know, whatever, collect all the things, go fast, and yeah, you'll get to the boss and you'll kill him. But yeah, I don't know. It didn't really feel like it was, I don't know.
It kind of felt like it was put there because as a thing on other 3D platformers, not so much that they had actual ideas.
Yeah.
For this one specifically. Yeah.
Overall, like it was like a fine just, you know, game to get through like once, but overall pretty mediocre in my opinion. And yeah, it's definitely the weakest of, in my opinion, it's definitely the weakest of all of the 3D platformer mascots of the PS2 era.
I'd probably put on like the same level as like first Ratchet and Clank, I guess.
Yeah, no, I would too. That is very funny because that was kind of my main comparison between the two. Was I feel overall in terms of an overall gameplay structure, I would rather kind of go through the first Sly rather than Ratchet and Clank, though there are a lot of things I enjoy more about Ratchet and Clank than Sly, namely, I guess, its personality, though of course I feel, from what I hear, Sly 2 kind of iterates on that and improves. So I'm definitely going to go through the rest of the series. I have the PS3 collection.
Yeah, I'll be playing through the rest of the series too. I definitely want to keep going through Slide 2.
I'm excited. I'm excited to hear what you guys think about 3 because I absolutely loved that one.
What were you saying, Nathan?
So I played on original hardware, not the PS2 version of the game, but I played it via the PS3 HD collection, which I hear has its own issues, one of which being the bitch of a gator fight, because the input delay is like really weird with the between the PlayStation 3 controller with like super precise inputs and also trying to match it to the beat of the music. Yeah, I was that was really my big patience test, but other than that, I had just a pretty fun time, just kind of enjoying the music and just doing some pretty basic but fun 3D platforming, and that's what this was just a basic 3D platformer. And I'm like, yeah, I like these.
Yeah. Although I will say that it's one of those games that tries a lot of different modes of gameplay. Like, there's a lot of different levels that have gimmicks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What'd you guys think of the
driving levels?
Wait, what? Which one?
The driving levels. Yeah, they're terrible.
The races.
Yes.
I kind of felt like a crapshoot whether or not you would win those.
Yeah.
Yeah. What'd you guys think of the ones where Murray is trying to like run through like a gauntlet of enemies, and you have to like shoot the enemies?
I personally didn't really enjoy those ones.
I mean, I wouldn't say that they were fun, but I'm a epic gamer and pretty accurate with my gun shooty, even on the shitty PS3 controller. So I didn't have any trouble with them, but I wouldn't say they were fun.
Yeah.
Also, what's up with Murray? Murray's a boss in Slide 2. He's a bitch in this game.
Yeah, that was I noticed that too. And in Slide 2, he's like an integral part of the group, but in Slide 1, he's kind of
he's just there.
He's just a chauffeur.
He's a bit of a pushover. He's just kind of wimpy. I didn't like Slide 1 Murray. Slide 2 and Slide 3 Murray were very lovable characters.
I do kind of like the in the map selection screen. Like, he has a different animation every time. I thought that was cute.
Oh yeah.
So he's got that going for him at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed that a lot, but that was about as far as I really went.
Yeah,
with Murray, I suppose.
It's definitely it's definitely a game that knows like it has a good idea, but doesn't quite nail down what exactly it wants to do with that idea. Until the second game.
Sorry, my bad. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
What I was gonna say is that I still think that, interestingly, overall, I think I'd have a higher number rating for it than you guys would.
You think?
Huh.
What'd you give it?
I think so. Like a 7.
I think
close to that.
Gave it a
6 or a 7. Yeah.
I gave it a 5. Yeah, I had the lowest out of the three of us.
Yeah. After I play the other Slide games, I might feel more ambivalent to it. Maybe. I doubt it though. I probably would just like raise the rating more, like give the Slide 2 an 8 or something, as opposed to dropping my score.
Yeah.
And I was annoyed, to be honest, a fair amount in this game. Like, particularly with like jumping from like hook to hook. I found that to be a little janky. I don't know about you guys, but
yeah, I had a bit of issues with that as well.
Yeah, there's and also I wasn't a big fan of like the fact that there's lives in the game. It didn't feel pretty much any game that came out after the 2000s probably shouldn't have had a life system. It always just felt weird. Like, life systems are integral to like arcade type games, but anything more modern, really, it just feels like it's just there out of tradition rather than like actual game design philosophy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like Jak and Daxter pulled it off pretty well, because I mean the life system is there, but you're not in danger enough in the same way like you are in Sly 1 or Ratchet and Clank, to where it's like that much of an issue.
I gotta do that again. Because I ran out of lives. There were times when I killed myself in Sly just so I could get a game over immediately, so I wouldn't have to worry about having to redo the whole level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be honest,
times like that.
To be honest, out of the 3 PS2 platformer like entry games, Jak and Daxter I think was definitely the most like thought out and polished, because the subsequent Jak and Daxter games, I mean, had interesting stuff to them as well, but I think it hit the nail pretty well on the head with the first one. And then Ratchet and Clank, it was kind of the same thing with Sly, whereas I really liked the personality, but I can agree that the controls are not really that great, and it has a bit of a progression issue. And then same thing with Sly, where it's like it doesn't know what it quite wants to be yet. Kind of annoying to play. But then, both Ratchet and Clank get better in the second games, and Sly gets better in the second game, and Jak just kind of does its own thing.
Jack just changes, it morphs.
Yeah, it
Completely
yeah,
different.
it just completely like, yeah.
Yeah, that's actually probably the black sheep of these mascot 3D platformers. The first Jack and Daxter would probably always be my favorite of those.
Yeah,
I wasn't very fond of the tone shift of the sequels.
I was weirded out about it even as a kid, but I grew to like it. So these days, I'm fine with 2 and 3, but I still don't think that 1 to 2 was the right continuation of the story. But regardless, 2 and 3 are fun and they are interesting and they have cool stories in their own right. They just don't really feel like sequels to the first one.
I think with Sly Cooper, I have beaten at least one game in like every famous 3D mascot 3D platformer. Like there's obviously a bunch of like lesser known ones I haven't played, but
out of the popular ones.
Yeah, like correct me if like there's one I'm not thinking of here. Let's see, we got Mario, obviously, Sly Cooper, Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, Spyro, Crash Bandicoot. What else is there? Is there other ones?
I mean, one that kind of got pretty famous like in recent years, not like in that back in the early 2000s, but just kind of like recently was Hat in Time.
Yeah, I've beaten that one, so
yeah, same.
I got that covered.
We both beat that together.
Yeah, that was fun. I love that game. Yeah, so cool. I feel like I'm no longer a virgin with like PS2 3D platformers, so that's cool.
Yeah, so fun stuff. I mean, if you guys continue playing 2 and 3, I'm excited to get your opinions on those because those ones are great in my opinion.
Yeah, I will at some point, definitely.
Yeah,
I have them. No reason not to. I even have the 4th one, so.
And I'm wanting to play Silent Hill 2 soon, so.
Yeah. I hope you keep playing Paper Mario. I'd like to.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna finish that first.
Yeah, I would like to have a full game discussion with you at the very least here in the near future. Talk about the final boss and stuff, because that's one of the highlights of the game that we unfortunately don't get to talk about right now. But hopefully, we will soon.
I'm pretty sure I do know what it is though. So
yeah, I'm sure you've seen it, but experiencing it is different.
Yeah, it's like that weird dark peach, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Josh Pulsifer showed me the fight.
Oh. Damn it.
not the whole fight, but.
No, I'm kidding.
This is like a couple years ago as well, so obviously he wasn't sure if I was ever going to play the game, but here we are.
Yeah, here we are. Yeah, will this be the first Mario game you've ever completed?
I think, yeah, it will be.
Starting off strong.
Yeah. I mean, I have played other Mario games before, but couldn't quite complete the other ones because I played Mario Kart Super Circuit and I've played all the other Mario Karts, but you can't really complete those.
I've played a lot more Mario than you, and that's kind of weird. Though you've played a hell of a lot more Zelda than I have.
Yeah. I don't know.
You've only played Wind Waker and Skyward Sword, right?
I've played Wind Waker, I've played Skyward Sword, I've played Breath of the Wild, and I've played A Link to the Past, but I haven't beaten A Link to the Past.
You've played a lot more than I have.
I have played each one in the main series Zelda game. I haven't beaten all of them, but I've at least played them.
I really want to play Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask sometime because I hear that the atmosphere and the storytelling for those are really good.
I should have mentioned this in the Spicy Take episode. I don't like Ocarina of Time that much.
Oh, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people who don't, but there's also a lot of people who just say it's still the best Zelda game, even despite its obvious jank.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'll have to experience it for myself because Zelda's an interesting thing for me. Because I mean, a lot of people hate it on Skyward Sword, but I loved it. So
yeah, I like Skyward Sword fine. It's better than Ocarina of Time.
That's a bold take, yeah.
Die mad.
I have nothing to say on that because I haven't played Ocarina of Time, so...
I played Ocarina of Time before Skyward Sword 2. I am all in on this thought.
Oh, so there you go. Yeah,
no nostalgia at all. I just think it's better.
Yeah.
Oh yes,
and that's fair.
I can feel the anger. No.
You're feeling vindicated, letting this off your chest.
Ocarina of Time's so good. I'd probably still give it a 7.
I want to play it. And I hear Majora's Mask is like the only other like Zelda game that really like leans into a darker tone.
Yeah, Majora's Mask is really dark. Really dark.
And I'm really excited
to
see that because I love it when
Nintendo
Zelda
had
gets
an emo
dark.
phase.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
You guys are gonna play so many Nintendo games.
why, yeah.
The next
yeah.
one I
They
recommend
make good
though will
stuff.
be short. I think that was kind of the downfall of Thousand Year Door. Just too long. I'm gonna keep recommending Nintendo games, but they're gonna be a lot more digestible in the future.
Sure.
I think every once in a while, like a long game is fine though, because I mean, Elias got Nier out of the way. You suggested Thousand Year Door, and I'm still gonna play that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So-
I'm trying to think. Have I recommended like a 30-hour title yet? I don't think I have.
I don't think so. No.
Prey was like 20 hours.
Oh wait, Prey. Yeah,
yeah.
Prey was like 20
Yeah.
hours ish.
Yeah, that was. Sure. Okay. All right. Well,
Yeah, I think that about does it.
we wrapped up on Sly and Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. Very good recommendations, nonetheless. Yeah. Very interesting. So again, it's why I love talking with you guys. You give intriguing recommendations and have me check out things I otherwise normally wouldn't. But I'm going back to a comfort blanket for this next recommendation. It's very obvious what it is. I've been alluding to it for a little while now, but I need to be vindicated on my favorite video game of all time, Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater.
Where can we
Alrighty.
play this?
So, here's the thing. I am very interested to see what the perspective will be on this. Whether you will be stroking your chin along with me and being, yes, very clever piece of art, really love it. Or you will be like, what is this pretentious, stupid bullshit, basically a movie I'm watching right now, and either is totally valid, and I'm very intrigued to see how you guys feel on it.
Your favorite
So,
game of all time you're recommending, and you're saying that there's a good chance we might not like it.
It is possible, though the thing is, there's a lot of really great strengths to that game that I would be very bummed out. There has to be something that, like, grabs you about this.
In terms of
something.
in terms of its like themes and stuff like that, and like the most recent Kojima game that I've played has been Death Stranding, and even though I haven't finished it, I'm really intrigued by its setup and its aesthetics and its
Yeah, so I'll
ideas.
tell you right now, I normally wouldn't recommend Metal Gear Solid 3 out of the bat, because I would usually recommend people play through the series in release order. Metal Gear Solid 3 is technically the canonical first entry of the series, so you're still fine to play this without prior knowledge of anything else, though it does help, like you can catch some references, but there's not a whole lot there, like nothing will ruin the experience for you. Yeah, the thing that I'm just curious about is just, like, again, the length of its cutscenes, and it is a little, socio-political history and a very, like, Cold War espionage, and, there's, oh no, politics in my video games, oh no, guys, I wish you in games weren't political, like Metal Gear Solid 2.
Oh no.
Arguably even more, that Metal Gear Solid 2 is a giant can of worms of an experience, but that would be an interesting recommendation one day. But anyway, MGS3, what I think Andrew will appreciate, because I know Andrew largely likes to stay apolitical. He's not a very political person, but one thing I think you will enjoy, because I know you do love movies a lot is I think you will get a lot out of its Bond references and its overall Bondian kind of structure and how our hero is portrayed in the story. I think at the very least, like, you can grab onto that, and I think that will be an appeal for at least the three of us. Yeah, I think that will be at least for the three of us there. Elias has said that he is very excited to play it as well because he has been wanting to get more into Metal Gear himself. And yeah, here's the great thing though. I actually have enough physical copies of this game that I could loan you guys a copy and you can play it, and I still have a copy for me to play. At least maybe 2 or 3 copies. So Elias is going to be borrowing a PlayStation 2 copy of mine. Andrew, the Xbox 360 version is backwards compatible on the Xbox One. Okay. If you want to play it that way, I'll be more than happy to lend you a copy. And then, Ben, I have a couple PS3 copies that I could loan you one of them if you want to.
Or I know Ben's that you. PS3.
Andrew currently has my PS3, and I believe he is still using it.
That's fine, because I know that you, I know that you totally have access to 100% totally legitimate and payable digital copies of the game that you can access as well, because it was on the PlayStation 2. Copyright Konami, 2005.
Is it possible to play it on the PS5? Or no?
No, I'm talking about
I know
emulating it.
I know, but I was just thinking, is it possible?
Can you buy it on like the PlayStation 4 store, for example?
No, you cannot, because Konami sucks, and this is another thing that we're gonna get into on this episode on how much I hate Konami, which will be apt because I'm still gonna be playing through the Silent Hill games on top of it all. So man, there's so much bitching about Konami that's gonna happen, but. Yes, anyway, MGS3, my favorite video game of all time. I'm intrigued to see how you guys feel about it, though I feel like you guys can really get a hold of it, and I think if you really give it an earnest effort with the gameplay, it might really grab you. I would recommend, if you're to play this game, if you're to, say, emulate it legitimately, play the Subsistence release. Subsistence. That one gives you a third-person camera, and the MGS3 is infinitely better with a third-person camera. The map design of MGS3 was not made for the fixed camera angle perspectives of the original release. Now, I've still played vanilla MGS3, and I still think it's a great game, but the third-person camera is what makes it infinitely better.
Okay, so I'm...
infinitely better.
So I'm here about to purchase my totally legal copy of MGS3. So you're saying I should go with Subsistence?
Subsistence, yes. And Subsistence is the version that was ported ever since then. So the Xbox 360, the PS3 versions, the PlayStation Vita, the 3DS, all of those are all the Subsistence versions. But what's really cool is if you ever, like, say when you're playing the game and you want to see what the fixed camera was like, click the right stick and you can go to the fixed camera if you want to. So you got options. That's what I like about this. There's different ways to play, and it's totally legitimate in how you want to do it. You know, it's pretty cool.
Is there 3 different discs that you have to use?
Oh my lord. No. So disc 1 is the game itself. Subsistence was originally a limited edition release. So it had extra discs, I think like a DVD or something, and then it had another disc that you could play the first 2 Metal Gear games on, which are on the MSX. Not Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation 1. See, this shit's insane. But yeah, I think you only need disc 1 and you can play the games. Because I think because I have this Metal Gear Essentials collection. That's my PS2 copy of Subsistence. It's the one that Elias will be borrowing from me. I'm grabbing it off the shelf while trying to talk into the mic at the same time and not knock over my Kojima dick suck shrine that I have. I will totally have a picture of that for the episode when we talk about it. Yeah, because
you should use the little avatar that I made for you and make yourself like smile. Put yourself in the corner.
Yes. Make me make me as a fat snake, cake eater.
Call back. No, do a callback to Andrew's smiley face.
Yeah.
Yeah, so real quick here, this version of MGS3 that I'll be loaning out, it is only one disc, so yeah, you should just be able to just nab that first disc and play through Subsistence. So you'll be good there. Love this game. I do a playthrough of this game at least like once a year, I swear.
You know, Elias did Nier Automata, which he says is like his favorite game, maybe, and this is like your favorite game.
Are we gonna start knocking out all-timers?
I guess my favorites are Mario Odyssey and Galaxy, but I don't know. You played those, Ethan. So
I'd be more than happy to vindicate you on those. Those are good games.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm like covering Mario here with Thousand Year Door a little bit. Well, that's not my favorite. It's still like, I don't know. I think it encapsulates what I love about Mario so much. So there's that. So we got. So Ben, would you say your favorite game of all time was Hollow Knight? Bill?
Yeah, I would. Else? I would say so right now. Yeah.
We've all played Hollow Knight, so maybe we won't have your favorite game really until like Silk Song comes out.
Hey, I'm just saying we are definitely going to do a Silk Song episode when that releases. Because I'm 100% sure we're all going to buy that when it releases, right?
Oh, I will
first day
for
we
sure.
will all
First day
stream
release.
it, and we will all talk about it as we're playing it, probably.
Exactly.
Yeah, maybe. Also.
Maybe I might want to keep it to myself. I don't know.
Yeah, because because I typically, unless it's a game that like benefits from its like multiplayer aspects or something like that, I typically want to go through those types of games solo to complete it the first time and then like share it with people and stuff. So kind of like how my first time through with Bloodborne.
I'll stream it then.
Yeah. So like the first time through Bloodborne, I did it solo, and then I went through it a couple times with Sam. So yeah, I would say Bloodborne is probably my second favorite game of all time.
I foresee myself having a hard time getting into that, but if you want to recommend that, I will try it.
Yeah, I was talking the other just last night, I think. Yeah, last night, about how I was just browsing Reddit and I saw this post in r/gaming where someone posted a comic that it was like you gotta treat your customers well. If they're mean, you kill them with kindness or whatever. And then it's like, okay, sure. Then the customer comes in and says Dark Souls is an objectively bad game, and the person reaches towards this bat that says kindness on it. And obviously, a huge argument went down in the comments section. And yeah, it surprised me about how actually not being in the circle of people who enjoy those games, how actually disliked it is among just the general gaming community, because it's kind of niche.
Yeah,
I realized that just recently. I was like, oh, I guess it is.
It's It's the most mainstream niche game.
It's the most mainstream niche game. Yeah. You either absolutely love it, or you just could care less about it, or you just absolutely hate it. Some people on there were just foaming at the mouth. I was like, okay, well, wow. Nice.
Cool.
But,
well,
yeah.
I guess that does it here for the show today. Hooray! We did undo it.
We did undo it.
I did want to say real quick, for Metal Gear Solid 3, it is around a 15 to 16 hour game. So it's not super long, but I just want to judge off of that. Are we wanting to do a 2-week on this or a 3-week? Because I could do a 2-week on this easy. But I understand that some other people might have issues trying to cram that out within 2 weeks.
Considering I'm also really wanting to finish Thousand Year Door, I would probably opt for the longer time frame.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Okay, longer it be. We'll take 4 weeks on this one, and then after that, we're probably going to have a guest episode after that. So 2 more episodes of us chatting around, and we'll have another guest on, which will be really cool. I won't announce her just yet, but yeah, it'll be pretty sweet. Yeah, no, epic girl gamer. Oh gamer wow. Girl. I'm
my favorite.
Sure she will love talking about that.
Yeah, no, I won't.
Yeah. Anyway,
I feel bad for even bringing that up just now. Sorry.
Anyway, you can find me in the description down below. I got links to all sorts of shit in there, including my most recently active stuff. I have a review of Suicide Squad that will definitely be up by the time that this episode's released. Maybe I'll write some other movie reviews. I activated my AMC A-List subscription again today, so
nice.
We'll see more movies again. On top of that, you can find me got backlogged video game Letterboxd. And then really other than that, the only thing I guess I'd bother plugging is I bought a capture card and I got it working. I have to get a HDMI splitter to get it working with my PlayStation 3, but that's coming in real soon. So I might actually be like streaming PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 stuff, at some point. That'd be pretty cool. So yeah, I might be doing the epic streaming a little more. We'll see on that. You'll probably know the answer to that by the time this episode's released, whether if I've committed to that or not. Anyway, who's next?
I've got Linktree in the description. You can find me on Twitter, Letterboxd, and Backlogged. I don't really talk that much on Letterboxd because I don't see a lot of movies these days, but I occasionally post on Backlogged when I really feel like I want to review a game. And mostly I just shitpost on Twitter, so yeah.
Buy my baby books called My Mommy Runs and My Daddy Runs, alright? Buy them for your kids that totally exist.
Hell yeah.
He is an illustrator, so yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like coming to like a reckoning. Like I keep like trying to make fan art, but I never actually finish it because I just don't find it that enjoyable. I like drawing my own stuff, so I don't know. Maybe I'll never like be able to really do commissions on a regular level because like I just don't enjoy drawing things that I didn't make. Really.
I guess that's fair.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll just make my own stuff and I'll just become known that way.
There you go.
Take that.
Take that.
I still don't do commissions though, if you ask me. Alright.
Alrighty.
Alright, well I guess that does that here for us. So we'll be back on the next episode with a little off topic, and then after that we'll be going and talking about Snake Eater. So
then the guest after that.
Huh?
So off topic Metal Gear, then a guest?
Yes.
Okay.
Sick.
Yeah, well it'll be a guest's recommendation, so and we'll go from there. Anyway.
Oh, I see. Cool.
Okay. See y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.